guys, I've commandeered Chris's channel for today. I hope you guys enjoy my little Valentine's Day special. Well, let's hope Chris doesn't find out I'm doing this. Enjoy! Okay guys, back, letting you know, giving you a nice feminine list of things to watch for Valentine's Day.
Honey, I'm in the kitchen, and this sandwich ain't making itself. Where are you?
What the heck is this? What have you done to my wall?
Did you kind of forget what day it is?
You put a heart on the bat symbol. What is this crap?
Well, I'm kind of torturing you for forgetting it's Valentine's Day.
Well, I guess since we're here, might as well do something. This is my girlfriend, by the way.
Girlfriend?
She's my fiance.
Yeah, better. Good boy.
What are we doing here? What have you done? What is this for?
Seriously? Did you kind of forget what day it is?
It's Valentine's Day.
Right. Congratulations, you remembered. By the way, do you get anything for me?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Sure. Okay, I guess since you forgot, we'll just have to do something a little different, though you are buying dinner tonight, by the way. Well, I was going to talk about romance movies to watch for Valentine's Day and give them a little bit of a play-by-play on what to watch with your girlfriend for Valentine's Day.
Romance movies? What is... Why? Like, what kind of romance movies? What are we talking about here?
I personally have a preference for The Mask of Zorro.
Those kind of romance movies. Romance movies that aren't romance movies. You know what? It just so happens that I actually read your mind, and I have some picks of my own. So let's start talking about them. I actually really love Mask of Zorro. I think it's a good movie. It's directed by Martin Campbell. It was one of those movies to me where it could easily go both ways. Like, it could have been horrible and really cheesy and over the top and just silly. It had that really good adventure spirit, kind of like Indiana Jones, but without copying off of it.
Antonio Banderas is hot. And
Okay.
usually most romance movies, the guys aren't hot. They're just pretty mediocre, lukewarm.
That's what I always say. I should be in more romance movies.
Yes, dear, because you're definitely lukewarm.
Thanks.
One of my favorite scenes in this film is when he slices open her dress. Of course.
You know,
Delicious.
I like that scene as well. I like it because boobs.
Yeah, I figured that one.
That's a good pick, hon. I actually really agree with that because Mask of Zorro is a really fun movie, but it's a good movie that you can actually watch. Men and women can enjoy it. It's not just like your typical romance adventure thing. The sequel, we're not going to talk about the sequel, but the first one, pretty good movie. We're going to talk about my first pick, which is 500 Days of Summer. Now, you might look at this movie and say, Chris, that's a romance movie for sure. The reason this is on my list is because it's actually a fairly realistic portrayal of a romance. It's not overly fluffy. It's not Hollywoodized. If you've seen the movie, I don't want to spoil anything for you. It doesn't go the way most of these romances do. It's a really realistic portrayal of the way a guy may approach a romance sometimes. It was actually the first independent movie I went to theaters to see. Like, I seeked it out. I went really far away to see it. Is seeked out a word?
Sought.
I sought it out. See, that's why she's here.
I happen to actually enjoy this movie as well. I do like Zoe. She is pretty good in almost everything she does. We'll not mention a couple of her not so good movies. I actually enjoyed a lot of the artistic detailing they put into the film. A lot of the backgrounds were really pretty and well thought out. Can't say that I didn't not mind the clothes in it either. Did enjoy the styling that they
Joseph
picked.
Gordon-Levitt looks good in a vest.
She could do to put on a couple pounds, but
Oh, okay. That's what I always say. More cushion for the push. Never mind.
what was that implying?
Nothing. What's
Are you sure?
Yes. What's your next pick, hon?
Okay, my next pick. Going to my geeky side.
We all love that.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Really good movie. Hayao Miyazaki.
Wonderful, wonderful director. If you guys haven't seen anything by him, except for maybe Ponyo, which is one of his most recent releases in the U.S. That was big
Not
time.
one of his best films, but
nah,
Howl's
a little
is
bit
very
more
good.
a little bit more kid-like, a little more less whimsical than his normal films.
That
I
movie,
enjoyed
though.
this though. This is actually based on one of my favorite books, and I thought it did the book justice, which, considering I'm an avid reader, for me is a very high compliment. I am very picky about how books are redone into movies. The art styling, the classic details, his Hayao Miyazaki's artwork is just so gorgeous through this whole film, and the plot and the characters' voicings in the English dub at least is so perfect. It's just they did such an amazing job. The music, I love the score throughout this. You don't even like realize it's going to be a romance until it's like halfway into the film, then you get that feeling that it's an actual romance.
It's very classic in certain aspects. It's totally different as all of his movies are, but like the first time you do see how he literally sweeps her off of her feet. Like he literally comes in and goes whoosh, and like sweeps her up and everything. But it was just the way the film was told, the incredible animation. I mean, the animation for that movie. I watched it very recently for the first time actually. I hadn't seen it.
Geeky.
I love anime, she enjoys anime. The thing about this video is we want to talk to you about movies that you can maybe watch with your nerdy or geeky boyfriend or girlfriend and actually enjoy them and not be all like love fest, lovey-dovey fluff.
You don't have to be a geek to enjoy this.
No.
I think everybody can like sit down and enjoy this because it's just a well-written film and there's plenty of action, plenty to go on in this movie.
I agree. Alright guys, so my next pick is a movie that I actually... What was that? Just... okay. My next pick is a movie that I mercifully did not show you because it's a very good movie. It's a very, very good movie, but it's just one of those movies where when you watch it you're like, oh, like it's very depressing. The movie is Blue Valentine. Now this is technically another romance movie, but it's not because it's actually about the degrading of a marriage. It's a marriage falling apart and you watch it happen. And it's definitely not a date movie. That's 100% sure. You do not, like I went to Walmart and it had the Valentine's Day section and Blue Valentine was in it. I was like, trust me, you're not gonna get any action after Blue Valentine if you watch that with your date. It is a great movie though, the performances in it. Are you very interested in the back cover or are you just staring at Ryan Gosling? That's what I thought. The thing I love about this movie was the performances. Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams are so good in this movie and so realistic. And there really is nothing about the performances that seems set up. It's all so well told. If you love romance movies, this is nothing like any of the others, 100%. But just be aware that if you watch it with your date, there will not be a makeout session afterwards, trust me.
Which is definitely not good for Valentine's Day.
100% no.
Unless you're
popcorn.
trying to, well... Really?
Trying to end the relationship?
Yeah, trying to end the relationship and make a mess of your apartment.
One thing you can do with Blue Valentine, let's say you're in a relationship you don't want to be in anymore, just be like, hey honey,
Good way to take your relationship on Valentine's Day. Great.
Can we watch Blue Valentine, honey? Because you know, I don't like you anymore.
Another one based on a book. You guys have probably seen it 100 million times. We're gonna go with Casino Royale.
That's right, and I have the Bond 50 Blu-ray collection here. It would be nice if I could just have our whole Casino Royale, but trust me, it's in there.
I have to say, I don't like the first version of Casino Royale. I actually like the version with Daniel Craig, just to specify.
You mean Peter Sellers, that one?
Yeah,
or
that
whatever?
wasn't so hot.
The 60s one? Yeah, no. This one is completely different.
Yeah, completely different. Love the newer version. Gotta say, Daniel Craig looks smoking hot in that.
Oh,
And I can't
yes,
say
baby, he does.
that I love his eyes.
I have blue eyes.
That's nice, dear.
Thanks. The thing about Casino Royale that I love is not only just the way it was directed, but also by Martin Campbell, like your first pick, Mask of Zorro. The way the film was crafted to be able to reintroduce Bond to us. Trust me, with Die Another Day and Pierce Brosnan's last few movies, we had gone in a bad path with Bond.
That just like ruined my love of Bond, those last couple of films.
Yeah,
I just was like, oh, please let this new one be good. Please, I'm begging you. Otherwise, I will be turned off of Bond for the rest of my life.
And it was. It was awesome. And
Amazing.
the action is
Great
incredible
film.
in the film. Daniel Craig is great in it.
Music.
The opening theme is really good by Chris Cornell. But also the romance in the film is one of the only true romances in Bond. Because most of the films are just, he has throwaway relationships he doesn't care about.
He's not technically Bond in this film.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Because at the end of the movie, if you've seen the film, spoilers alert, just to let you know. At the end of the movie, when he walks up to the guy, and he just goes, I'm Bond, James Bond, that's when he becomes Bond. It's the first time you hear the Bond theme afterwards. So this movie is really kind of like the Batman Begins for Bond.
Yeah, kind of.
But the romance in the film was so well told because it kind of gets you to understand why Bond became a womanizer. Exactly. Because, wow, this woman really wronged him. And now he doesn't like women anymore. He's just going to treat them like they're disposable
It was a kind of depressing ending for her.
It was, for her it was, but I mean, she deserved it.
You think? I mean, she was trying to save her.
That's true. See, the thing about this movie is it's not just like cut and dry. Like, she did try to save Bond because you find out that she kept him from being killed when he was being tortured. Yeah. Made a deal to save his life.
Way too many twists and turns. Trying to follow it unless you're actually paying attention is kind of iffy throughout the whole thing. And then there's just so many like little quirky things that if you pay attention to one scene, you'll catch it again later. And it's just like, ah. I have to say though, her makeup in certain spots looked so much better than in other spots. Like, she was wearing too much makeup in a couple scenes. So any girl who likes particularly picking apart women's features that are prettier than them, that's one thing you can critique on her, is overdone makeup.
You know what? I don't get too much into looking at makeup, but I actually kind of agree. She looked better in the movie when she wasn't wearing makeup. I really agree. But nevertheless, great Bond film. Still actually my favorite, even though I really like Skyfall, which
We just talked about makeup.
We did talk about makeup. You have to see Skyfall, though.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta see it.
I admit I haven't seen Skyfall yet. When it came out, I didn't have the chance to go and see it, which kind of was a little depressing.
I bought it. We can watch it later. Together.
I guess that's what we get to do for Valentine's Day. You're still buying dinner, though.
Okay. Well, very good pick with Bond. One of my favorite movies, definitely. My next pick is also a film that is more action-oriented, like Casino Royale was. But it's a film that has a central romance that you don't really start to notice until the film continues on towards the end, and that's the first Matrix. Now, the romance elements of Reloaded and Revolutions, they went way more towards the actual romance with a really crappy sex scene and everything. But this film, I thought it was done really well, because they interlocked the whole thing with how Neo couldn't become the one until Trinity admitted that she loved him. Obviously, The Matrix was revolutionary as an action film. And the reason I want to include it on this list, Matrix really was revolutionary in my childhood. It came out in '99.
Yeah, which is right when we were all starting to get to that age where it's just like, oh my god, we're actually allowed to watch more mature films now.
Right, exactly. Because I was like 12 then, and then I was starting
9.
to... I'm a little older. I got a younger woman.
Okay, Gramps, whatever you say.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Nevertheless, The Matrix is a film that really inspired me as a kid. I went out with my friends and made a whole bunch of short films together. You've seen some of the crappy Matrix movies we made when I was a kid. And,
they're really bad.
But they're great, though.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are, in that sense, you know? Where
okay,
it's like nostalgic.
Fun, nostalgic childhood film.
Exactly. They're terrible, though. They're awful.
They really are.
They came towards me at that point where I was...
They came to fruition because of this film.
Yeah, and the reason The Matrix inspired me so much as a kid was not just because of the visual look and feel of it, but the story was really interesting, too. And whenever you have, like, a big adventure like this, there's generally a central romance of some kind, whether it's Han and Leia in Star Wars or Indiana Jones and Marion.
It's the way they usually layer a film. Of course. There's the usual staging of a little bit of the romance, a little bit of the action.
And the reason this movie works is because they were able to balance all those elements so well. And in the end,
downtime actually made the movie, because sometimes downtime just explained so much more of the uptime, the high beat energy a couple of the scenes had. They were trying to survive in such harsh climates and trying to live a normal life still, kind of, and fall in love in that type of situation is very admirable.
So romantic.
Of course, it's so romantic, and gosh.
Anyway, The Matrix is definitely a good movie for us nerdy-ish people to watch if you are into that sort of thing.
I wouldn't say I'm so much as a nerd as I'm a geek.
Same different, not really,
No,
but you know what I mean.
I don't have a pocket protector.
You know what I
Nerds have like the big Coke bottle glasses, the pocket protector.
mean. You just described me as a youth. Just kidding. No, I was definitely...
I was in robotics club.
You're a nerd.
Okay, my next pick is The Dark Knight Rises, because I am a die-hard Catwoman fan.
I just like that she's talking about The Dark Knight Rises, and everyone just understood why we're dating because you said The Dark Knight Rises in an admirable sense.
There are a couple films we do disagree upon, though.
There's a few, yeah. We're not going to talk about them, though. Dark Knight Rises!
Alright, Dark Knight Rises. Gotta say, I love Catwoman, and I love Batman. First movie I ever actually remember watching in the theater was at a drive-in, watching one of the old 1990s Batman with the Penguin and the Riddler.
Batman Returns.
Yes.
Oh, Penguin and the Riddler. No, Riddler was in
different ones. It was
okay.
a double feature.
That's interesting.
It was a special for the night because the new one had just came out.
Oh, so you saw Batman Forever, and then they showed Batman Returns?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's kind of cool, actually, except for Batman Forever. Unfortunately, you had to watch that.
I was young. It was still good then.
That's true. I loved that movie as a kid.
It was a good film as a kid. I admit that.
When I was a kid, I thought I even thought Batman and Robin was cool. When I was like 10 years old, I was like, ooh, look at all the sparkly lights.
Yeah, you have to, and then you go back and watch all the vintage Batman episodes, and you're just like, wow, I love this guy. He's so awesome when you're a kid, and then you watch it now that you're an adult, and just like, how did they make this? What was the entertainment value of this?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Kapow!
Punch. Yeah. Again, with Dark Knight Rises, it's a movie where the romance kind of sneaks up on you. It's hinted at constantly throughout the film. And, you know, if you know anything about Batman, you know Batman and Catwoman had a thing many times throughout the comics.
Yeah.
This film did it so well because you could so easily be so cheesy and over the top with these two people in the costumes making out and everything.
Yeah.
But they handled it so well, because in Batman Returns, it was a little over the top with Catwoman on top of him, like licking, which was a nice view, but, you know, it just kind of got a little silly.
It was. Most of the way through this film, you don't think it's going to end the way it does until you get to that end where you're just like, oh my god, she's not actually who she says she is. So you kind of think Bruce is going to end up with a different person.
Yeah, I mean, there's like these hints with the Miranda Tate character and everything, and then it just kind of you get the rug pulled out under you, and some people were not fans of that plot, but I enjoyed it and I thought it was well handled.
It was a decent twist.
I agree.
Instead of going the direct route into things, but then you kind of, if you've read the comics like I did as a kid, you kind of realize Miranda Tate was going to be...
Yeah, Talia Ra's al Ghul's daughter, right. Okay, now my next pick is another film that I have not yet shown you, simply because...
He's scared of my reaction.
Exactly. I'm afraid she'll just be like, I didn't like this movie, Chris, and then I'll be like, I'll cry in the corner. That's Drive. And you guys know that I just... Drive is a special movie for me. Yeah, Ryan Gosling's head's right there. Don't look at him too long, otherwise you'll break up with me because I'm not as attractive as him. The reason I have Drive on this list is because it's another film that both the man and woman could potentially enjoy if the woman doesn't mind some graphic violence. But the thing about this movie is obviously the directorial style, which I maybe one day will trust you to watch. I'm so afraid if I put it in, you're gonna be like, I just don't get this movie, Chris. I just don't get this
like
movie.
I did with that one movie.
Yeah, with that one movie that we're not gonna talk about that I can't believe you didn't like, and I'm just like, holy crap, how did you not like that movie? But you didn't, and it's fine. It's fine. But at the heart of it, the reason the movie works is because of this central romance between Ryan Gosling's character and Carey Mulligan's character. They have a love for each other that cannot be spoken about because she's married and he has a kind of hard time with the life that he is living. He's got this really... What are you doing? Why is there a bear on me? What? The movie's central romance works because of the way it's told. And one day I'll show it to you, I think. But the movie just had this feel to it where you really actually felt that he was in love with this girl. And he barely ever acknowledges that vocally. You can just feel it in the air when they're in the room together. Obviously, it's one of my favorite movies for other reasons than that. But if you're into a movie that you can watch with your date and you both don't mind watching a movie like Drive, check it out.
Alright guys, and my final pick for today is classic French film Amélie. This is a very artsy film that has wonderful music scores, wonderful shots. This whole film is done in certain color palettes that you just see it through the whole film. It's so pretty to watch. And like then you get into the characters and you're just like, you fall in love with her as you watch her go along, and you fall in love with the little slightly handicapped guy with the one arm. You don't realize doesn't have one arm until part of the way through when you realize his sleeve is kind of hanging a little weird. And then there's the guy with the brittle bones. You just like feel very sorry for that he can't leave his apartment. And then there's the slight edginess of the slut who works in the bar with her.
A slut? In a bar?
Maybe. Oh yeah, I know. Not really a shock.
I liked Amélie too. She showed it to me recently, and I know it's one of the most famous foreign films made. It has a definite cult following. A lot of people really followed that movie, and like even where we live in Cleveland, there was a showing of it recently at a theater, and there was all these people there dressing up like characters and stuff. And it's definitely an interesting movie, but the reason it's not necessarily your stereotypical romance movie is because of the way the romance is handled in the film. The lead actress of the movie is very reclusive. She doesn't approach it the way that most movies handle romances, like the way she goes about trying to get him to notice her and everything. I found really unique and different, and just not like your stereotypical fluffy romance, you know, Nicholas Sparks movie.
Yeah, Garden Gnome. Gotta love Garden Gnome too. Throughout this whole thing, there's a running gag with the Garden Gnome that's like, you don't realize it is like a central point of this kind of thing with her father, which plays back to her beginning childhood, which is kind of how she developed into the person she is. And you kind of get a little blurb and feeling of it throughout the whole film about kind of like who she is as a person and a little bit of her more quirky side. And I'm definitely going to go with quirky as the word for her.
So if you guys are into foreign films, if you don't mind watching a movie with subtitles, it is definitely one of the better foreign films out there. It looks incredible. The movie looks beautiful. And as she said, the color palette for the movie is really impressive. So with my final pick, I'm actually going to break the rules a little bit because we've been talking about movies. But this is just something that I had to talk about. And actually, there are 2 movies based off of this television show. A lot of times you guys ask me, hey Chris, where are your TV reviews? Why don't you do more television reviews? I just don't always have the time for that. But one of my favorite television shows, if not my favorite, is The X-Files. And The X-Files has one of the most well-developed romances in TV ever. I mean, they don't even do anything for like the first 7 seasons at all. Like they're just constant romantic tension between these two characters that's developed along the show. I'm currently watching through it again right now. What are you wincing at? What is
I'm not
this?
wincing. I'm trying not to laugh.
Laugh at what? Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle.
X-Files. X-Files.
It's an excellent show.
X-Files.
Yes, it's an excellent show, but I didn't laugh at your Howl's Moving Castle, did I?
How would you laugh at Hayao Miyazaki?
How would you laugh at X-Files?
It's X-Files. How can you not laugh at X-Files? The whole thing is basically funny.
We're going to talk about this later. No, I wanted to talk about that show because it definitely meant a lot to me as a child, and it's one of the reasons that I got into the idea of filmmaking. The X-Files for sure is because I was inspired by that show. I've always liked more supernatural, paranormal, like alien-like stuff, and I've always kind of gotten into the idea of making a scary movie because of the X-Files. I can see you making faces, by the way. The show inspired me a lot as a kid, and it was something that continued to inspire me as an adult when I grew up. And I love that show, but it also has a great sense of romance, and it definitely has romance elements without being a romance. Well, thanks for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. It was sort of her idea to start with. It was a good idea.
Alright guys, thanks for joining us. That sounded really, really, really bad, by the way.
It did.
Alright guys, thanks for tuning in and watching him and me. Well, hopefully you get to see a little bit more of me.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I might commandeer the channel. I always do have access to his camera and the internet and his account.
No, you don't have that.
I think I know what your password is.
I
I've
know.
seen you type it a million times.
It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna come in here one day, all my videos are gonna be gone, they're gonna be replaced with like all this
I'm gonna
girly...
put My Little Pony in! Perfect!
And we're done. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I appreciate you watching our video. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching. And if you want to, you can click right here and get...
I'm not saying it.
Yes, you are.
Alright guys, get Stuckmanized.